Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects? Today, we're going to talk about why a plan is just a plan and how important it is to set expectations with your client for that. And I'm also going to talk to you about accountability and how that is affecting my own project to get the WP Project Managers Academy finished and launched out to the general public. Okay, so when we create a project plan or a proposal for a client, we tend to act like everything that we're giving them is carved in granite. And it's really important early on in the project to make sure that the stakeholders understand that a plan is just a plan and that it's a fluid thing because things come up. You find new requirements, something drastic happens to your project team, a pandemic. There are lots of things that can affect a plan. The important thing is to have a solid process for changing the plan and letting the client know up front that there's a process in place and then making sure they agree to it and then invoking it every single time there's any kind of change to the plan. But that doesn't mean that you aren't accountable to the plan. And it doesn't mean that you're not accountable to your client stakeholders. You need a process in place for changing the plan when things come up that are unexpected. And that's why the status report, or as Nathan Ingram teaches, the Friday email is so important because it keeps your stakeholders abreast of what's going on. And all that status report needs to have in it is here's what I had planned to do this week, here's what I actually got done, and here's what I plan to do next week, and here are any issues that need to be addressed by the client stakeholder. You don't need to advertise issues if it's not something they need to be concerned with. But that simple method of accountability is the key to staying on track and for raising any red flags that come up along the way. And you raise them immediately because it's on a weekly basis. Or if it's even a shorter project, it could even be a daily basis. Let's say it's a project that's only going to take you a week. Then you might want to issue that status report every day. But then what about other types of projects? Projects where you're only accountable to you, right? Like updating your own website or learning a new skill or some home improvement project. I have several of those in the works right now that I need to get on. So how do you stay on track and stay accountable for those kinds of projects? Well, you need to find somebody to be accountable to. Now, see, I didn't think I needed accountability because I'm a very driven person. I'm very self-motivated. I didn't think that accountability was something that applied to me because that was a very snotty attitude to have. And then I was a speaker at the Agency Transformation Live. Well, that was all done virtually. And I attended the conference as well as was a speaker. So one of the things that happened, the way he had it set up is that you end up at a table with a group of other people. And long story short, that group has become an accountability or a mastermind group for me. And so we meet once a month and everybody talks about what they've been working on, where they are in their process. We give each other feedback on deliverables and things like that. It's fabulous. I had no idea. It makes a huge difference. So if you're working on a project where there aren't really any other stakeholders, now, truth be told, you guys are my stakeholders for my project, right? Which is getting the WP Project Managers Academy finished with all the bells and whistles. So this accountability partner, depending on what the project is, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a group like my accountability group, it could be anything like that. Just somebody that's not going to mind hearing from you on a regular basis at whatever interval you decide that here's what I had planned to get done, here's what I did get done, and here's what I plan to get done with next week. So accountability is just so much more important than we think it is, right? I mean, especially those of us who are kind of driven anyway. Let me get back to the accountability partner. It doesn't matter who it is, but it needs to be somebody that you're going to be embarrassed if you report that you didn't get done what you said you were going to get done. You know, it's the same thing like when you go to work out. You're only accountable to yourself, right? But if you've got somebody to go work out with, you're much more likely to go because you've got that accountability partner is going to, you know, put their hands on their hips and go, why didn't you come work out today? So having that accountability partner is so important. And that's why I'm here today, because you guys are my stakeholders for the WP Project Managers Academy. Whether you're in the PM 101 roadmap or the premium membership, you need to know what's going on and what's planned, what's done, and the issues that come up. You know, I can't do one of these without a slide or two. So I've got some slides to show you, but about the Academy and what's coming up and where we are and why we're here. And part of the problem is, y'all, I have lived in this house. This house was built in 1932, and I've lived in this house for 10 years. I rented for the first 8 years. Now, that was supposed to be a temporary thing for like 2 years, and then I was going to find another house in the neighborhood, blah, 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 or close by anyway. I fell in love with this neighborhood. I fell in love with the exact location where I am. And so when my landlord said they were going to be selling the property, I bought it. Y'all, it was built in 1932 and it was a rental for a long time. So it needs a lot of TLC. And I've done some of that on the outside. And so I struggle constantly with, should I be working on the academy and the things I need to do there? Or should I be doing these things around my home that absolutely need to be done? Why? Because I have let it go for like 10 years. I look like a hoarder. There's stuff everywhere. You can see the mess behind me right now because I'm in a massive clean out mode. I had a huge yard sale. I'm trying to get rid of everything. So I'm struggling between those things. So that's why I'm here now, because my project is off track. I should have had this launched out to the general public by now. I've been calling this a soft launch. And the other reason for that is not just that I have these other things that I also need to be working on, but it's fear, you know, it's fear of being finished and it's not being perfect. You know, I have to get this done before I do that. I need to get this one last thing done before I do that. And it's October, you know, this should have happened months ago. So I want you guys to be my accountability partner. I'm going to start letting you guys know where I am on the roadmap. And I have to make a living as well as, you know, I do have a few clients that I maintain with my agency. I haven't been taking on new clients. I just took on a new client for maintenance, a care plan, but we've got to redo a whole bunch about her website because she's using an awful theme and it's got a built-in page builder and we're going to have to change that. It's just going to be a big mess. But anyway, so I'm still doing that in addition to everything I need to do at my house. Plus, I want to be accountable to you guys, my stakeholders. It's been really tough, this whole COVID thing for me, because since I work alone and live alone, I rely on being able to get out at night and going to the restaurant. And so just hanging out with people just to get some social contact. So yeah, I have to work that in too. Like today, I really didn't have time, but right before I did this live, I went out and took like an 1.5 hour walk with 2 of my girlfriends. And that was so helpful because we got to catch up and got that social interaction. Okay, then I'm going to start launching this program on November 9th. That is my goal. That means that you might see ads for webinars and things like that in your Facebook feed. You might get some extra emails from me. I ask you to bear with me and understand that this is just part of the process. It's something I've got to do in order to generate more income and get this thing in the hands of the people who need it. There's so many people struggling and the answers are so easy, but they're getting a lot of misinformation and a lot of noise from a whole bunch of experts. And by focusing only on just project management, we can really help people move along. So as a review of what we've covered today is it's important to remember that a plan is just a plan. And it's important to set that expectation with your client in the beginning that plans are fluid because things happen like a pandemic. So you have that great example now you can use from now until eternity, that things that you didn't expect to happen will happen. But the key is to have that process in place that you invoke without exception, that your client agrees to upfront on how, when there is a change to the schedule or to the cost or to the resources or to any aspect of the project, whether it affects the cost or timeline or not, you need to document those things, and that needs to be a part of your process because that allows you to control it. So accountability is important too. On that type of project, you need to start invoking that status report, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, depending on how long the project is. Definitely need to be accountable to your client stakeholders. And it also makes you accountable to yourself, because nothing feels worse than, oh, I planned to do this, but I didn't get it done because I was binge watching something on Netflix. I mean, that's embarrassing, right? You don't want to have to do that. So it helps. And I'm being accountable to you all on my project to get the WP Project Managers Academy completed, because then you can see how important that is and how much better it makes you, my stakeholders, feel about where things are going with this project, especially those of you who are enrolled in the premium program. And thank you so much for being a student, whether you're in the free program or the paid program. So that's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. I know it was helpful for me, so that might be what this is about, but it was definitely helpful for me. Hope it was helpful for you too. So Friday chat, we don't have a topic yet. I'll come up with something between now and Friday, but try to join us. It's kind of fun just to hang out and kind of decompress for the week and kind of share what we're going to be accountable for. Maybe that's something we incorporate in there too, but mostly it's just chatting about business, chatting about struggles, and chatting about anything that we feel like chatting about on a Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So you'll see an event come up in the Facebook group. And if I'm over explaining some of this to some of you, we have a bunch of new people in the group and a bunch of new students. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't forget what they might not know. So until Friday, guys, stay productive, stay strong, and never stop learning. See you soon.